by whatever your succession laws are is extremely important.
Okay, do adopted heirs count?
Say again?
Do adopted children count?
Only if you, if it's a bastard, you can legitimize them, but you can't adopt a child, so to speak. You can educate children as a tutor, and they'll be like a ward of you, and they'll be in your kingdom. You know Game of Thrones? Do you watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah, I read some of the books.
Okay, you know, what's the name of that fucking guy who lives with the Starks in the first part?
Oh yeah, the Greyjoy kid.
Yeah, the Greyjoy kid. You can do that in this. You can have like a ward who's under you. They're not really a prisoner either. They're just like a kid that you have to raise. You can do that, but they won't become into your line. They won't be like a heir to your kingdom or anything. In order to do that, you need to either make bastards and then legitimize them, or have kids and then they'll be in the line of succession. And how they succeed is it varies depending on your laws. So you can change the laws, the succession laws. So here's an example. At the top left, there's a little hammer symbol next to your guy's face. There's a crown and there's a hammer, and it says laws if you hover over it.
Yeah.
If you go into there, you can see the succession laws. So, the top, it's the first line, it will tell you what you are currently, and if you hover over it, it will tell you the rules for it. So right now, I'm agnatic, cognatic, gavelkind, which means agnatic means males can inherit. Cognatic means that females can inherit. So if it's agnatic, cognatic, that means that the bloodline can be traced through women and men. And gavelkind means when you die, your heirs will get an even distribution of all your titles. So if you have 3 sons and you have 3 titles, each one of them will get a title. Gavelkind is absolutely horrible. There's much better laws than gavelkind. For instance, if you're a king and you have like 3 powerful dukedoms or whatever, or if you have, the worst is if you have multiple king titles, and you die, your sons will literally split your dominion they'll split it into multiple parts. So that's not good. The best law.
So you just have one son and kill your wife.
Yeah, I mean that's what you have to do. Seriously, I mean, if you have gavelkind, you have to do shit like that. So you don't want to get involved in that sort of shit. Primogenitor is the best. Primogenitor and seniority are the best. That will basically, in seniority, the oldest member of the dynasty will get all the titles, and in primogenitor, your firstborn son will get all the titles. I personally like elective monarchy because that allows you to select who's going to inherit your titles. The only downside to it is that the dukes in your realm will have the ability to vote, so they don't have to support you. So if you have a bunch of dukes that are very disloyal, that can cause problems because they can basically vote for people that you don't want. So that's an issue. So pretty much each title you have has its own set of laws. So down to the county. So like you'll see in the laws screen, there's a bunch of different shields.
Mm-hmm.
That's for each one of your titles. So each title has different laws that govern it. So, like, if you're the duke of one area and you're duke of another area, the counts under that dukedom, in other words, like the vassals that are under that title, they'll have different laws. So it's not like there's one law that goes across the entire country, because there's no such thing as a country in this time period. It's just different. It's just different titles and personal relationships. So what I'd recommend that you guys do right now is, if you don't already have a wife, I'd recommend getting a wife. It looks like Pat, you already have a wife. That's fine. You also have some sons.
Yeah, I figure I'm probably going to die off in a couple of years, so I'm getting my son a wife and nominating him as my heir.
Do you know how to see where your family tree is and all that?
Yeah, that was in the tutorial.
Okay, so Scoper, if you don't know how to do that, left click on your guy's face at the top left, and that will open up like a family tree screen. and you'll get to see everyone that's in your family, and you can go back. If you click on certain people, it will jump to them, and you can jump back and forward in the bloodline to see how everyone's connected and shit.
Okay.
Your heir will have a little crown next to his face, and it will also be displayed under the heir symbol, like under your guy's main portrait.
Yeah.
Looks
like my older brother's my heir. I've got a couple of pretenders.
Yeah, he's your heir because you do not have any children. And let me see, what laws are you?
I don't have a wife either.
You don't have a wife, so let's go over how to get a wife. So what you're gonna want to do is just go to your character screen, and then there's two little wedding band symbols under where your wife would be, and that's called a bride finder. Just go ahead and click that.
Oh,
Now marrying people is extremely, extremely important in this game, okay? Because it does two things. Number one is that it actually models genetics. So the kids that you're going to have with that wife are going to have her stats. Like they're going to be a mixture of your stats and her stats.
Yeah.
And it's also going to determine it might determine their traits. So if your wife is like a fucking whore or she's like evil or whatever, that might rub off on the children. Another thing is that this is really important. Is that whenever you marry someone, you can make an alliance with the house of whatever person you're marrying. So, for instance, if you marry like a princess of another kingdom, then your houses are going to be allied, and that means that you can call them into conflicts, and that also means that you can. In the future, they'll support you if in certain things. So it's really important that you pick a wife. Like when I pick a wife, I look for a mixture of things. Number one is she needs to be like a good person, because that's gonna rub off on your kids. Another thing is that she needs to be like a whore, because the more lustful your wife is, the more children you're gonna make. So you it's sort of a contradiction, but you want to have a wife who has really good morals, but is also lustful. And another thing is you don't want to marry someone who's above their mid-20s. And I'd recommend someone who's 16 to 18. The younger the better. Because they'll have more children for you, and they have higher fertility rates. So
good girls are always freaks anyway.
They're not. There's some girls that are chaste, and there's some girls that are in the church, and they're completely celibate, and that's...
Why would they marry?
Because in the medieval church, you can still marry, you just couldn't have sex, so, if you were celibate. So, don't make sure when you're picking a wife, do not pick someone who's celibate or chaste. Try to get people that are lustful, and also try to marry up into like, the best possible thing you could marry right now would be, like, a princess of France. That would be, like, perfect, because then if the Muslims fuck with you, France will protect you. And, also you'll have a lot of connections in France, so, like, you can possibly, like, sort of maneuver your way to, like, become the King of France, maybe, like, somewhere down the line. Stuff like that.
Yeah,
so,
how do I see if they're lustful? Is that just under those little traits they have?
Yeah, so, there's all these little icons next to them. Those are their traits.
Oh god, chaste. Do not want.
So, yeah, chaste is two little wedding rings. Make sure you don't get chaste. Lustful is good. That's like a heart. And just look at the age. Make sure they're not too old. Also, make sure they're not younger than 16, because then they're not childbearing.
Oh wow. This is awesome.
It's giving me a warning saying my adult son doesn't have any land. Is that like get him some land or?
Yeah, that's because under primogeniture law, your sons will become butthurt if they don't have land. It's personally, if you're a small realm like you are now, I wouldn't give him land, because you need all the titles that you can get.
Yeah, titles.
I wouldn't recommend giving him any land. What you could do is for instance, right now you're the Baron of Osona. You could make him the Baron there, but even I wouldn't do that, because It's only really an issue if you have like a big kingdom, and your sons could potentially like fuck you over from getting butthurt. Like if you're the king of France and you don't give your sons land, they could really fuck you over if they get butthurt. But your son can't do anything because you're a small little dukedom, and he already has good relations with you. I'm looking at it right now. If you click on yourself and then you go to,
I see that.
if you go to him, he has 56 relations with you. He's pretty butthurt that you changed the succession law. Did you just do that now?
Yeah, but I chose him as the successor.
Yeah. So he'll be fine. Also, that looks like a really good son. So he's like a badass. He's a tactician.
Yeah, I picked him a really good wife too.
So yeah, he'll be fine not having land. So starting off, what I would recommend that you guys do is first get a wife. So if you haven't already done that, Scoper, do that now. And it's going to take a few days for the guy that you sent it out to reply. They will almost always get. They will almost always agree to your marriage terms. Almost always, 100%.
Yeah, I'm a king.
No. So the next thing you're going to want to do is let me know once you had a wife set up.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find someone who's lustful. So far, I'm finding
Yeah,
people
don't-
with, like hair lips and club feet.
Yeah. Yeah, don't go crazy. I mean, it's not something that you need to go crazy over. Just make sure she's young and make sure she's not chaste and not celibate. As long as she's not chaste, not celibate, and is young, you're gonna have kids. Also, make sure that. Go ahead.
Do any of like his siblings, are they going to be an issue, or should I mean, 3 of them are still being educated by other people, but are they like something I have to worry about, or?
So, are you under elective monarchy now? What's your realm laws?
Not sure.
Okay, so click on the laws hammer on the top left, and it should say under your title, agnatic, cognatic, and then some word after there.
Oh, agnatic elective.
Okay, so that means you're electing him. You have an elective system. Okay, in an elective system, the brothers will not fight because they're not going to gain anything by fighting, so they're not going to... Basically, it's the best system for overall stability, in my opinion. They will be temporarily butthurt that you don't select them, but they won't fight amongst each other. So you won't have any issues there.
Alright, cool. But if it was like Gavelkind or seniority, then...
So Gavelkind is the system that makes everyone happy because everyone gets titles when you die, but it's not good for your... Yeah, it's not good for your overall realm. It weakens the realm every time. Like I remember reading one historical example where, because it keeps dividing every time you die, and it even goes down to like if you own, let's say you're like you just own like a property, it will actually split the property in half. So there's historical examples where brothers would get like 20 feet of land each and shit. It's retarded. And it basically destroyed France historically. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing Gavelkind. Elective is the best, and agnatic, cognatic as well is good. You can see if you go to your second oldest son, Berenguer, you can see that he has -10 to you from elective monarchy succession, and that's mainly just because you didn't pick him. But that's not a big deal or anything. It's not something that's going to disrupt the game or whatever. You got a wife yet, Scoper?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find someone who's decent and who isn't going to cause me to lose prestige.
Don't worry about that. Just pick a wife.
Alright.
It's not going to matter, trust me. Just marry up and try to get a nice wife who's young. And try to get an alliance if you can with nearby kingdom.
Italy.
Yeah, I see a Duchess of Tuscany. She's got some pretty amazing stats.
There you go. That's good. Tuscany's not the most powerful ally, but they're better than nothing.
Alright, she's considering it.
Okay, next thing we're going to want to do is, at the top left, next to your character's face, click the council button. Okay?
Okay.
So, first things first is, you want to make sure that everything here is filled. So, are your councils filled out?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Now the next thing we're gonna want to do is the counselors. Okay, they do two things. Okay, the first thing is that you see the number on the right side. That's their skill.
Yeah.
That gets added to your overall skill, and then the total number is the skill level for your realm. So like, if your martial has 14 and your base martial skill is 5 or whatever, then your overall realm's score is 19, and that will affect how many troops your realm raises and how effective your armies are and stuff like that. Same thing with the Chancellor. Like overall, the number will equate to how persuasive you are in diplomacy and stuff. So that's so picking good counselors is absolutely essential. It's like one of the most important things you can do. Another really important thing here is that you can send the chancellors, the counselors out on missions. So do that right now. So if you hover over those little icons on the right, it'll tell you what they do. First thing you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to. What I would recommend doing is fabricating a claim on a nearby entity. So right now we have Muslims nearby, right? And we want to conquer the Muslims. Now there's two ways of doing that, okay? You can either declare a holy war on them. Okay, let me backtrack, okay? In order to declare war on someone, you need what's known as a casus belli, which is a case for war, okay? Now, there's a few ways of getting a casus belli. Against Muslims, the most common way is to declare a holy war. But the problem with declaring a holy war is that the other Muslims can join that war in defense of them in sort of like a jihad, okay?
Yeah.
So it's not good for you, especially if you're small, because once they see that their Muslim brothers are being attacked, they're all going to join to defend them. That being said, what you can do is you can make a land claim on them, and then instead of making it a religious thing, you can make it like a feudal thing, like you're just claiming their land based on feudal ties, okay? So what I recommend doing is that you fabricate a claim on nearby Muslims. So Pat, a great option for you would be Tarragona or Leada.
Actually, I already have de jure claims on both of those. I sent them to Castellan.
Castellan? Where is that? Okay. Okay, that's fine. I would have done it on Zaragoza or on Catalan though, because they're single province realms. That's still fine though. You can move it or you can just leave it on there. That's good that you have claims on those two provinces. That means you can actually take those right now with pretty much no opposition from the Muslim world. So, Scoper, what I would recommend is that you make a claim on either the nearby Kingdom of Leon or on the Muslims to your south. So you have the Aftasid Emirate to your south. I'd recommend making a claim on Lisboa or on Evora if you don't already have ducal claims there.
How do I check and see if I have ducal claims?
Okay, so if you do, there'll be a little circle at the top center of the screen. It'll say like ducal claims available or something, and if you click on that, it will cycle through them and show you where they are. I don't know what does the icon look like, Pat? For ducal claims.
It looks like an olive, or I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a circle,
olive.
right? Yeah, it's like a black circle or something.
No, it's green with a red tip. I mean, maybe it's different if it's a de jure.
Yeah, stand by. So, yeah, so I'm looking at your, I'm looking at it right now, and it doesn't look like you have any claims, Scoper.
Yeah. So I'm going after Lisboa.
So what I'd recommend doing is I'd fabricate claims on Lisboa. Mm-hmm. And now, every day, there's going to be a small % chance that your chancellor is going to come to you and say, hey, we can press claims, you pay a certain amount of gold, and then you have a chance of actually capitalizing on that and then declaring war on them, and you have a casus belli. If you don't have a casus belli, then you can only do a holy war, and then the Muslims are going to join in. So let's go back to the council screen. So just fabricate a claim somewhere. The next one is pretty straightforward, and that's I'd recommend for the marshal is I'd recommend training troops or researching military tech inside your capital. The next one is a steward, and I'd recommend collecting taxes inside your capital. And every what it'll do is it will increase your base tax rate, and it'll also give you a chance every day of like a tax collection thing where you'll have a chance of gaining like extra 30 or 40 gold, like just through an event.
Yeah.
Under that, study technology is probably the best. If you're okay, this varies. So if you know that someone's trying to kill you, like if someone's trying to assassinate you, you would definitely want to build a spy network inside, or you'd want to uncover plots inside your own capital. If you wanted to kill someone else, you'd build a spy network inside where their province is. And if you wanted to just have your spy master steal technology and increase your country, you would do that. And if you're going to study technology, I'd recommend doing it on Constantinople. You want to do it on a city or a province that's incredibly advanced. So like right now, like Spain is like basically like it's like a backwater of Europe right now. We're basically like barbarians at this point in history.
Yeah.
So we have a lot less technology than the Byzantine Empire. I'd recommend studying technology in Constantinople, which is basically between Turkey. Between Turkey and Greece. That's where it is. It's you see a big shield over there. Right? Yeah, it's at the Bosphorus. You see a big Byzantine shield where it is.
Yeah.
That's that, and for the court chaplain, you're going to want him to research cultural tech and put it in your capital city, capital province. Alright, that's the counselors. Okay, next thing, let's go to technology. At the top left.
Alright.
So, technology, right?
Should I hang on to my court chaplain until I take one of these countries and then convert the population?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do that now and declare war on them, I wouldn't do it immediately. I'd wait for your armies to build up before you do it, so I'd wait like at least like 5 or 6 months before you declare war. But that might be a good idea, but you could do it, I mean, you could do both, because it only takes a month to redeploy the chaplain. So if you start researching cultural tech now, you could use him later and it wouldn't impede what you're doing. Plus it takes like years to convert a province, so it's not going to affect anything overall. So let's go to the technology tab on the top left. It's 2 gear symbols. So this is something which is not really like game critical. This is sort of like the big picture for your realm over time. By the way, these technology, researching technologies is only going to affect your own realm. So it's not going to affect your dukes and stuff. It's only going to affect your personal demesne. So let me explain this concept. As a noble, you have what's known as a demesne, and that's your own personal lands. It includes any lands that you yourself control. So right now, the demesne of you, Scoper, is Santiago and Coruna, and your capital's at Coruna. And the way I know that is because if I click on those provinces, it shows your face on both of them. And I also know it because you can use a map view mode called like what mode is it? I think it's called direct vassals or something on the bottom right. But there's a way to see it on the map modes. Bottom line is that your demesne are lands that you directly control that are under your title. For Pat, he only has a single province demesne, and that's Barcelona. And he also has a barony as well. That's part of his demesne. Anyway, let's go back to the technology screen. This technological stuff will only affect your own demesne. So the vassals under you are having their own technological priorities. For you, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure as a dukedom holder or a king, I'm pretty sure there's 2 tabs: demesne and realm.
Yep.
Can you set different priorities for both?
I don't know. Maybe the stars are different for each one.
Yeah, that's showing the level of your realm versus the demesne. Anyway, this is a.
Yeah.
No, you can't set them different for both though.
Okay, I didn't think so. So that's just showing you the current status of the realm and the demesne. So anyway, this is really something which is like nitpicky or something that you're gonna have to learn over time. But starting off, I would recommend researching legalism under cultural advances. And the reason for that is the higher your legalism, the bigger your demesne size can be. By default, you're limited in your demesne size by your prestige and by just a base level demesne size. So if you increase your demesne size and you're able to have more lands directly under your control, that will greatly improve your power. Another thing is under economic advances. I'm a big fan of like upgrading my castles and building villages for the castles. I'd recommend either getting castle infrastructure or the city tax. I mean, they're basically all good. I would recommend like farming, trade practices, or castle infrastructure. Any one of those is fine. Doesn't really matter in the long run. It's something that's going to really take effect over hundreds of years, not a few years. For the military advances tab, heavy armor is okay. You know. By the way, all these are going to advance at the same time. These are just like your priority for advancement. So they're all going to advance. This is just what's going to take priority overall. Okay. So next, let's go to the military tab at the top left. We're not going to do anything in here before we start, but just take note of your current force levels. So you can see the level of force from your demesne, your own personal demesne, and then also from your vassals. So I can't see what yours is, Pat or Scoper, but you probably have a demesne army that's larger than your vassal army, mainly due to your crown authority.
How would I see that actually?
So if you click the military in the top center or top left, where it says from demesne, from vassals under the army tab, those are 3 numbers. The first number is the amount that are currently raised, the second number is the unraised amount, and the third number is the total amount. Same for vassals. And if you wanted to, you could, there's 3 options here. There's 3 options here for raising armies, okay? The first button next to demesne is to raise your personal levies, and those are going to be your men from the properties that you own directly. So, for instance, Pat owns 2 castles, so the troops would come out of those 2 castles. And for you own 2 castles. You own one in Coruna and one in Santiago. So your personal levies would come from those 2 castles. Then under that you have raised vassal levies, and those will come from your direct vassals. And under that is raised realm levies, and that's all the forces under your vassals and then under their vassals. So for instance, Pat, you are a duke, right? And I'm a count. You can't actually. So I'm a count of you, I'm a vassal of you, but the barons and the city under me are not your vassals, they're my vassals. So when you ask the vassals to raise their levies, that's only asking me, not the vassals under me. If you raise realm levies, then that means mobilize everyone from the top down, every single vassal that exists in the entire kingdom. So that's that. Pretty straightforward. You can also hire mercenaries and hire holy orders in the stream, but that's something that we'll deal with later.
They're super fucking expensive.
Say again?
I said they're super fucking expensive.
Yeah, they are expensive, but later on you're going to gain a lot more wealth than you have now, so it's something that will change over time. Alright,
Do you gain more mercenary options if you have more prestige or something?
Yeah, so it's based on a variety of things. Number 1 is that. Number 2 is location. So each region has a mercenary pool, and you can, like, all the leaders from one region can buy into that pool pretty much. And what you can find is that some mercenary groups might be bought from another kingdom nearby, and then you can't hire them. And then they'll retire, and then you can hire them. So it's sort of like a dynamic thing. Mercenaries are extremely useful, and I'd highly recommend that once your kingdoms get established, that you always have enough gold in reserve to hire mercenaries, because there's going to be points in this game. Because again, you're not a country; you're just a guy that has relationships. There's going to be points in this game where people make conspiracies to overthrow you, and they'll like pay people, and they'll use their family relationships to ask their kinsmen to like rebel against you and shit. And when that happens, you're going to need mercenaries on your side, and you're going to need a way of paying them. So when stuff like that happens, you always want to have gold in reserve for mercenaries. So next thing we're going to go over.
Why the French have the Foreign Legion.
Not yet. Let's still have another 800 years for that, but getting close.
Yeah, but wasn't the Foreign Legion founded kind of later on, but pre-industrial times, so that the French could have a hardcore of mercenaries to act as cadre for their levies?
I'm not sure. I know it wasn't. It definitely wasn't in the Middle Ages. It was probably into the early modern age. Maybe? Yeah, probably during that period. I'm not sure. Okay, let's go to the intrigue tab now. Real quick, what you're going to want to do is choose an ambition or plot. So if you click that blue tab thing that says click to choose an ambition or plot, go ahead and click that. And then there's a list of shit. If you don't already have a son, I'd highly recommend that be your ambition. And when you complete this ambition, you're going to be able to choose a new one. So as soon as you have a son, you'll be able to pick a new one. For Pat, I'm not sure what your options are, but becoming
basically kill or revoke titles.
Okay. Is there a Paragon of Virtue in there, or Rich, or anything like that?
Yeah, there's Paragons of Virtue, Wealth, and Exalted Among Men.
Yeah, you're pretty old, so you probably won't be able to get any of those, but you might as well shoot for them. Just pick one, doesn't really matter, and it adds a lot to the game, because then you have to do all this political maneuvering and stuff. Okay, other than that, that's pretty much the setup for the game, and when you actually know the game, like the back of your hand, you'll literally do all that shit in 5 minutes, tops.
Do I want to raise some levies now, or should I...
No, you don't want to raise... Okay, so when you have your armies raised, you have to pay them salaries, and it also makes your vassals angry, because, okay, here's a key point in this. Again, you're not a country, so you don't have a national army. So that means that every troop that you raise is paid for by your vassals. So you pay for your own personal levies, but all the other guys that are raised are not paid by you. They're paid by your vassals. So you can actually anger your vassals if you have your armies mobilized when there's no threat. So I would not recommend raising levies unless you need to, like if you're in a war or something.
Yeah, if I raised them, they'd be for my own demesne.
Yeah, and there's no reason to. It's just, if you're not at war, there's no reason to. And in fact, you can't even declare war if your levies are raised.
No kidding?
Yeah, you can't. You have to keep your country demobilized, and then you can declare war. Oh, one final thing I didn't go over is, let's go back to the laws tab. So what you're going to want to do is at the bottom of the screen, you can actually change the laws for your realm. I'd highly recommend adding in a feudal taxation of small, and if it's not already, putting your feudal levies on max. Okay, I'd max out the feudal levies first, and then I'd make a small feudal taxation. And mainly because feudal levies is really important, because by default, when you ask for levies from your vassals, they don't actually give you all of their men. They keep some for their own personal bodyguards. And if you put it on max, then you'll basically raise almost all of their forces. They'll still keep some, but it'll be a very small number.
You can only change one for a while.
Yeah, you can only change one for a while, and and really important, guys, is that you can only change one succession law per lifetime. So, like the elected monarchy and all that shit, and agnatic cognatic, that can only be changed once per reign. So make sure if you ever make a law change like that, that you really know what you're doing. Otherwise, you might screw yourself over.
Yeah, I kind of guessed, but I think I did well.
Yeah, I mean, if you selected elected monarchy, that's great. I mean, that's the best way to be. So, with that being said,
Should I go to war right away or should I wait?
So what I would do is I would check to see if your armies are fully mobilized. So in the armies tab, make sure that you're like the number out of X is max.
Oh, alright, so unraised should be equal to max total?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll wait.
If it's not, then you might want to wait, and you also might want to have your marshal raise troops, and that will speed it up.
I can't change my succession laws yet. Apparently I haven't reigned for more than 10 years.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, your guy is a young king, so you're gonna have to wait about 10 years before that happens. What is it on right now?
Agnatic, cognatic, Abelkind.
Okay, yeah, Gavelkind is fucking horrible. Change that as quickly as possible. Other than that, just start pumping out some suns. And I'll be right back. I gotta take a piss. Before we start, do you guys have like any circles at the top? Those are usually like important things that you need to do. So just check to see if you have any circles to the left side of the navigation tab or the right side of the navigation tab on the top left. There might be some circles there. Just let me know if there's anything there.
Yep. Title loss on succession.
Yeah, that's
married.
Yeah, that's because when you die, it's gonna go to your brother.
Gotcha.
There's nothing you can do about that until you have a son. You have anything there, Pat? Or are you good to go?
I can press some ducal claims and I can declare war on France or the Holy Roman Empire, which both seem like really bad ideas.
Yeah, it's probably not a good idea. So yeah, you're actually in a really good position, Pat, because... Okay, so another thing is, before we start, is that you want to think about, like, what am I going to do in this game? Like, what do I want my, like, future to be for my dynasty? So, one thing you can do is like, Pat, right now you're a duke, right? So wouldn't it be nice if you became a king?
That'd be pretty cool.
So, what you can do is on the bottom right, next to the map, there's all the different map display modes. The first one down from the top right is de jure kingdoms.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and click that. And if you zoom out a bit, you'll see the different kingdom names. So right now...
Yeah, so Aragon.
Right now, if you were to gain, I think, more than 60% of that territory, I believe it is, you can actually create the title King of Aragon. And then you can have dukes under you. So right now, you can't have dukes under you. If you were to give a duke title to someone, they would actually break off and they'd form their own dukedom. You can only have counts under you. So when you become a king, you can have dukes under you, and you can even have multiple king titles, and then it becomes really advanced. But right now, you control a small part of the Kingdom of Aragon. There's some Christians that control other parts, but it's mostly controlled by Muslims. So if I were you, like, my strategy or my objective would be to create the Kingdom of Aragon. So the first thing we're going to do, so what we want to do is we want to press claims. We want to fabricate claims on areas that are held by Muslims and that we can slowly acquire and then create the kingdom with.
Cool. Muslims are basically the creeps of this world that you just, they're bitches that you take out and take
Exactly. It used to be a lot easier in the earlier versions of this game, because if you declared war on Muslims, it didn't have a holy war mechanic where the other Muslims could come to their defense. So you could literally invade Muslim country after another and just steamroll them. But now it's
sort of Islam, right?
It's much different now, much more challenging, and I mean, the most epic thing about this game is when you do declare a holy war and you conquer like a huge part of the Muslim world, but it results in these epic fucking battles where like half the Muslim world is attacking you and shit, and it's pretty epic. Oh, another thing that you should know, really important, is that if you declare a holy war, the other Christians can join that war without a casus belli. So let's say, Pat, you attack Southwest and you create the Kingdom of Aragon, right? And then you link up with the King of Galatia and you guys want to take out another kingdom. You want to take out like the Emirate of Grenada to the south or whatever. You guys can join a holy war together and accomplish that together. Where otherwise you wouldn't be able to and you would need a casus belli. So, that being said, I'm going to unpause this. I'm going to put it on slow speed for now. Oh, that's another thing. The game runs in sort of like real time. It goes in every few seconds a day passes. You can see it on the top right. If at any time you need to do something, just pause the game. Okay, so if it's if something pops up and you need to address something, just pause the game and handle that.
I gotta find him a new wife. Hold on.
Roger that. So just press pause on your keyboard.
Nice, I got married. It wants to know about royal aid duty.
Yeah, so you have the option of either taking gold or basically having like a royal ceremony and gaining prestige. I would highly recommend that you choose the gold at this point in your career. You always want to have more gold at this point.
Ah, another guy. Excellent, she was a pretender.
God, my family's horrible. A bunch of hair lips and traitors, and
Oh man.
I'm trying to pick a successor to my kingdom here.
Nice. Now I have ambition to have a son.